All right, it's Thursday, February 20th. Just wanted to shoot a mid-morning or almost a midday SPY update here. Obviously, we moved lower from the start, and we've continued lower most of the session. We're still heading down, and we'll see how the day ends up. And I just kind of wanted to highlight how expectations align with price action. So obviously, if we look at I'm going to go to the weekly chart here on the SPY. I've been talking about for a while how we had higher highs, lower lows, higher highs, and for the last few weeks we've come down to the midpoint of this megaphone. Couldn't really follow through the lower lows. We had the 2-up week, so I was looking at this whole thing kind of expecting a potential new breakout and a leg higher, and it still may unfold, but at the moment I'm actually to the downside on the SPY, and I also know that there could be certain price action outcomes that really fail up here and head a lot lower if it wants to do it. And it's it all happened within literally a 15-minute bar on the open today. You can look yesterday, for example, we had the big green bar, so I was expecting that high to be tested, but I come into each day fresh, and look at opening price action in the pre-market range, and I kind of go from there. So even though I was expecting higher, and in the big picture maybe expecting a whole new leg up, we open up below the midpoint of the prior day. If we look at the pre-market range between the blue lines, first bar here immediately moved below that and then follow through on bar 2. So there's your sell signal, at least intraday, and I kind of know that that might lead to a potential higher high failure up here. Now a lot has to happen for that to continue, and I'll reference that going forward. I mean, for now we just have a 2-down day, so all of a sudden I look at where that target is and I see a gap here between the low of this bar and the high of this bar, so I could see us filling in there. If we get, we'll see if we get some kind of reversal in this little area, which is certainly possible. I'm not expecting it, but I know that it's possible. And if we end up with like a hammer bar today, then I can, a big failure to bar, by the end of the day, and or even a green reversal or something, then I would look for a 2-up tomorrow, and my expectations for higher highs are still intact. At the same, in the same sense, if we close red today, then we're coming towards the end of the week, and I expect that red bar to be testing lower. That means the weekly bar is likely to close red, and that means we're likely to follow through a little bit lower into next week, and then we see if we kind of move, into this target. So, all of a sudden, within one opening price action here, 15 minutes down, following through on bar 2 below the pre-market lows, that just changed my whole outlook, at least at the moment. And I'm happen to be short the QQQs today. I discussed that on an earlier video. I bought the 540 puts at 431. I scaled that at 6. They're at 592. Now I'm just holding on to the second half. If they come back up to 431, I'm just going to exit that at break even and have a small gain overall. But I'm going to hold on, and see if this bar holds red and then follows through lower into the end of the week. And if the weekly chart then closes red, I expect us to test lower. And at that point, if we're going to continue higher, I know we need to get the daily bar giving me some kind of a 2-up day to kind of get back in line with that, and that would be a very good buy opportunity. If this is just setting up for a buy signal at some point, then that's fine. But for now, within one day and one opening price action, my bias changes to the downside, and that's just the way price action goes sometimes. So anyway, just thought I'd highlight that. If this would have been more of an open, a red bar into the midpoint of this pre-market range, and then came down on bar 2 to test these lows, I could have envisioned, taking out liquidity, a red to green move started up, but instead the 15-minute bar went below the pre-market lows and then followed through. So again, my methodology always looks at that first 15-minute bar relative to this pre-market range, knowing those are the first little liquidity areas price might be heading to. I then see how that aligns with my big picture view, which is, it was up, but I also knew that it's in a potential failure area. And once I saw price action head this way, even though yesterday's close looked very promising, I was ready to buy some puts right here as well. So that just is how price action aligns with expectations. And finally, if I look at the yearly chart, one last thing. I kind of know that this year started out to the upside. We were taking out that green yearly high. And in order for this now to fail, we got to come back through the open and turn this yearly chart red. And that's kind of right here, this line. If I look at where that is on the daily chart, it actually is right below these lows that hit. So this little pullback here for after we made the higher highs was trying to turn the yearly chart red, and it couldn't do it. So to me, as long as this chart overall in the big picture holds above this area, we're still biased to the upside on the year, and we'll look for buy opportunities. But at the moment, it is possible we're going to have a red week here, and it's going to be a pullback. So what would be interesting here is if, let's say we close this week red tomorrow, and then we fall through a little lower, but we can't reach our target, which would be this low, like broad and higher highs and lower lows. That could set up a great buy going into, the end of February, March type of thing. So I know what the buy setups need to look like. I kind of know the big picture of where things fail and where I really get biased to the downside in the bigger picture. But for now, I'm just biased to the downside in the short run. I kind of know it could set up a chain reaction depending on how this day closes and how the week closes, to head lower. And I kind of know where things, have to. And then, when you have those expectations and then it aligns with price action that, starts the day, that's when, high probability types of things really kick in. But today, this was to me a pretty high probability follow through lower here, given the opening price action and the fact that you are at exhaustion risk. So I'm not surprised to see this developing. I also know we're in this gap right in here, and I want to see by the end of the day how this closes. So I can't really, know how this day is going to close for sure until it actually does. And then I can kind of develop expectations going into tomorrow. And as time goes on, as the weekly chart, comes to the end of the week, that strengthens my expectations for the weekly chart. Like here on this weekly chart, I kind of, as it closed green, I kind of expected those highs to be tested. But then for 2 days, we really not, we had an opportunity to really break out yesterday and we couldn't do it. So, that's kind of the way the weekly chart unfolded, expectations to take out the weekly high, but then now we have a failure unfolding. So anyway, just thought I'd follow through on that, in terms of how my expectations align with price action. And for now, I'm still holding short. I want to see if we come down and take out that first low of the day. I think it looks like we should probably do that, but you never know. And until this daily bar, now reverses up, I'm still biased. I'm biased to the downside, and I kind of know it really has to break down for things to get really negative in the big picture. But for now, short run certainly lower, and we'll see if that leads to something even stronger to the downside as the days and weeks move on.